summary of the Hilleberg Anaris now that I've used it for I don't know how many weeks now in Scotland, and I'm in Bleaklow in Derbyshire today. So whilst it's hanging in the wind, I'm purposely allowing it to blow in the wind. I want it to dry off certain the flaps, one or two flaps of damp condensation. So I'm watching my dogs. One's behind me and one's over there near my coffee, so you might get interrupted. But I've used it now, as I say, for several weeks. Scotland, Derbyshire, in moderate conditions. So I just want to let you know what I think. First of all, there's only one fault with this tent, and that is there's zippers on each door. There's only one zip. So I'll try to explain that. I don't know if you're getting this. If I need to unzip, I have to go from the top to the bottom all the way around to the side. Now, when the midges are out, right, I can't do this with one hand. Look, there's no pegging point down there, and I can't do that one-handed. Now, when the midges are in, hanging around the canopy area around here, where the fly sheet comes down and hangs out, right, all the midges will go in with you, because by the time you unzip that to get in or let the dogs in, and you zip it back up, they're all in. So if it had a two-way zipper, you could zip up halfway, zip round halfway and sneak in. Do you get what I mean? That'd be so much better. Same with getting your kit out. If you needed to get, like, say, I've got a bottle drink here, or I forgot my electric gear, something like that, I only have to zip. If I had two zippers, I'd only have to unzip about 6 inches, and then I could stick my hand through and get the gear. But instead, I have to unzip all the way down, or halfway down at least, and try and reach down. By that time, midgets have gone in. As I say, if you're doing something one-handed, you cannot do that. So that is your fault with the tent. It is quite a big one, to be honest. Rebel, leave. Sorry, he's eating a rabbit poo, I think. But it's absolutely great tent. Worth every penny. I know they're expensive, but it's worth every penny. If you wild camp in the UK, in not high altitude areas, but you know, moorland, the Peak District, Yorkshire Dales, even in Scotland in summer, as long as you're not going on the tops and expecting strong winds, and even then, it counts what kind of strong winds you're talking about, because you can pitch this right low down and peg it right down. Yes, you'll get more condensation, but it will take 30-35 mile per hour winds, no problem. You use your hiking poles, obviously, so if you're a hiking pole user, it's brilliant. If not, then you're going to find that a problem, because you're going to have to bring hiking poles, so you might not like that. Hilleberg does their own poles for this tent, but I'm sure you wouldn't want to spend the money that they charge for the poles. The other thing is, it will get condensation. All tents will get condensation. You're on moorland. I have not known, and people say, you know, I've had this tent, that tent, and so on and so on, and I've had no problems. Well, you've been very lucky. I've used every kind of tent you can think of, from mountain tents to most of the Hillebergs, even Trail Stars, Duramids, even the DD Superlight tarp shelter. You're going to get condensation because you're on moorland, and being on moorland, the moisture is in the ground, so it's going to come up. As soon as the sun sets and the temperatures vary, you're going to get that moisture come out, and it's going to come out under your tarp or under your shelter, because it's got nowhere else to go when it's coming out, because your shelter's pitched right over this damp area. The pegs it comes with, I think, are too small. You know, they're doing that to save weight, ain't they? But I use Zombie Killers 9-inch Eastern pegs. You're on moorland, you're going to go down about 3 or 4 inches when you put a peg in. So at the end of the day, you're going to need something long to stake out the tent, especially after winds pick up. Them things, they're going like 3 inches, 4 inches down, and they're just about touching what you need Counts what kind of ground you're going to be on, but I'm mostly on moorland. It's Scotland's moorland. Scotland, it's even worse. The ground is very damp, you know what I mean? So you're going to need something long. It fits 2 people in there perfectly. And to be honest, if you were clever and, you know, you were friendly, if it's put it that way, you could put 2 people either side and 1 person, small person in the middle. So you could easily be a husband and wife with a younger child, especially if you like being all cozy. That'd be perfect. I'm in there. That gives you a lot of room to bag out in the middle. So come wet weather, you know what it's like. You're normally in a porch, ain't you? Then you've got the midges because you ain't got the netting in the porch area. Here, you can bring your bag in. You're going to get the midges come in because, as I say, there's a problem with a 2-way zipper, but that can be fixed. You can get a kind of emergency zipper you can put in that can actually work as a 2-way zipper. So I'm looking into that. But you can get all your gear in, bag it up in the middle, and I mean, 2 of you sitting up in there, either end, bagging up in the middle, be perfect. So you'll get out no problem without getting wet, getting midged, you know, too bad. And then, as I say, the packing away of this tent is so easy. Zip it all closed, undo all the pegs, take your hiking poles, and then it's a square system, you know, pitch. So you just fold it up like an envelope, and it folds up really easy. The bag they give you has got plenty of space, and when it goes in your rucksack or attached to your rucksack, it compresses really well. As I say, the other thing I did notice, the condensation, you know, when you set it up, you'll pitch it and it'll be nice and tight and everything, and you'll have this gap. And look at it, it's a fairly good gap. But as you can see, it does sag in the middle, like all materials. And I don't know if you can see in the far end. Maybe I'll go on the other side and show you. Sorry, this is not a very technical review, but I'm just trying to help people out. See, I know you can see there, it's damp. But I was surprised when I was spraying it with some permethrin, because I was going to Scotland. I folded back the outers out in my garden. I sprayed the yellow panel inner with permethrin. It took hours to dry. That's because it really is been waterproof, treated. Hence, when you get in the tent and at night and the materials sag, I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning tightening all the points, but it still sags because of the temperature changes. You're going to get condensation touch the inner, but it does not drip through because them panels are very waterproof. How long that waterproofness lasts over the years, I don't know, because as I say, this is fairly new. It's only a few months old. But if you can keep it waterproofed, you know, if it does need treating, I don't know if it will, then you're never going to get any condensation seeping through. Even though when you look up in the morning, you might see where see, like this side is blowing in the wind because it's catching wind. This side, because it's in the shelter, is sagging. And that's going to happen naturally. Even when you unzip the doors, it's going to touch. But I've never had any drip throughs or any problems because of how waterproof them yellow panels are. Quality, you know, I have not seen any tears, any threads pulling. The guy lines are perfect. Zip locks, no problems. What the hiking poles sit in, they sit in a sleeve. Quite a big one as well. I don't know if I can show you, but I've had no problem with them. Hiking poles fitting nice and tight. Not too tight, hence a different variety of hiking pole probably they have to account for. But I mean, no problem. This guy line holds it. I mean, he's gone a bit slack now, but holds it lovely. I've been in winds when it picked up 20-25 mile an hour. Nothing too strong, and it makes a little bit of flapping noise, but not every tent. But I think it weighs. I mean, I put a MSR regular size standard ground footprint or ground sheet, whatever you like to call it. It's red. It fits. You can probably just see it in the bottom there. It fits the actual base of the Anaris perfectly. I think it overlaps one side an inch. But anyway, they go for really cheap prices, like 25 to 30 pound in the UK, whereas an Anaris footprint is something like 89, 90 pounds. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So I put that on. Going back to weight, I think it was 2.8 pounds. That was with without the footprint. It's probably touching 3 pounds now. The footprint's like tissue paper, but strong. For that, you're getting a great size shelter, easy to pitch. I can now pitch this in minutes, and that's the really good thing about this. There's no internal poles. There's no, even setting up and pitching in windy conditions. As long as you peg down one side, you'll get a pitch. People say, oh, putting that pole up, and it's not hard at all. You'll get like this. You'll get wind blowing and all that, but it takes seconds to tighten it all up. If you saw one of my videos where I was in Inverary when the estuary was kind of overflowing and we had high tides, I moved this Anaris 3 times in one night within minutes each time in emergency situations. So brilliant. This is my go-to shelter and will not change for the warmer months. And trust me, I've had Hilleberg nailers, even tried to squeeze us in Hilleberg Sulu. I've had the Fire Raven Abisco Shape 2, which is a cracking tent. It's a brilliant tent. But again, too heavy, too much setting up time. And that gets very wet with condensation. And you because it's all attached, you have to undo the inner, and there's so many attach points, and it's just too much messing about. This, you can peel back the outer and flip it over the other side to dry. If you want to dry that side, and the same on that side. You could even take this tarp, the fly sheet off, and use it as a shelter by itself. I wouldn't recommend that because there's other tarps out there that do a better job. Or you could take it all off completely, the fly sheet, and just let the whole inner dry. So, if you're in somewhere like Scotland and you're not worried about being in a camp spot too long because it's totally legal, the world's your oyster. You can pitch and there's no problem. As I say, the only downside is that zip. One zip needs 2 zips. They say, I know people have raised the point already with Hilleberg. They say it's weight saving, but come on, 1 extra zip in there. Come on, don't be so stupid. When as you see now, if I wanted to just have a little gap, I can't. It'd have to be right at the top. So at the end of the day, a 2-way zipper, I can unzip it anywhere I want, along that zip line. So I could even low down to sneak my hand out with no midges getting in. Be perfect. You two behave. Squabbling, plain, but it'll get rough. So yeah, marks out of 10 for the Hilleberg Anaris. Well, I'm a picky person, so the zips let it down. So I'll take a point away, and that's me being picky. I'd say 9 out of 10, no problem. It's a great shelter, and I have no attachment to Hilleberg. I have no loyalty or anything like that. I just tell it as it is. And this is a shelter that you need if you want to go wild camping. Especially if you use hiking poles. That's the other thing you have to take into account. Do you want to use hiking poles? And trust me, as you get older, go across moorland and across Scotland, you will need hiking poles. It don't help you out. There's so many holes and things that you can break your ankles in, and why do it when you can use it? That helps your knees, helps your back and everything. So yeah, 9 out of 10, brilliant shelter. Well done, Hilleberg. Just sort these zips out.